Hello everyone, I'm Javon,
And I'm Logan.
and we would like to give a quick thank you for all the support in our first video. It means a lot that we are creating content that you guys enjoy. Today, we are going to be recapping the Week 7 games and our initial thoughts, as well as predict the Thursday night game for Week 8. If you enjoy the podcast, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated, and we would like to welcome you back to the 40-minute dash. Go fast, Stephen A. Smith, stay off the gas.
Yeah, put me inside of a room with niggas you think that are better than me. I crush them inevitably and leave them as dead as can be. They go to any nigga who's stepping to me.
To start off the podcast, my record so far is 7-6. What's yours so far?
9-4.
First game we have down is the Steelers versus Titans. The Steelers won over the Titans 27-24, and I'll let you start this one off.
In my opinion, the Steelers played some great football. I mean, they had a little rough patches in the game. Roethlisberger threw 3 interceptions, which kind of hurt the team. They almost lost. They ended up coming up with a victory. But in the first half, the Steelers played tremendous. Their defense was shutting down Derrick Henry and the Titans. And Steelers were up quite a bit. And if the Steelers can play at the level that they are right now, I think that they can make a strong playoff push, possibly even go to the Super Bowl, which isn't too far off because this team is playing at such a great level. Even James Conner, he's been playing pretty good. His volume is right along with some of the workhorses in the NFL. And the Titans, they played pretty good in the second half. Like I said, they got shut down in the first half. Like A.J. Brown, he had 6 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown, which the connection with Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown, they are tremendous. And if they can keep that going, they can start winning games, and they might not lose a step because I don't think this loss to the Steelers is going to affect them too much. What do you think?
Well, the Steelers are the only undefeated team in the league right now, and I believe the Titans played quite well. Ryan Tannehill, to point out, Derrick Henry had not really an off day, but he didn't have a day that you would expect him to. The Titans defense also played very well. They held Chase Claypool to 1 catch for -2 yards. Shows that he was on lockdown defense the whole game. And Titans could have won this game if Gostkowski didn't miss that field goal at the end.
Yeah, that field goal was a big factor in how the outcome may have changed because the Titans could have won that game. Because if they would have went to overtime, they could have had the opportunity to get the first offensive possession, and they ended up scoring most of their points in the second half. So maybe they would have had the momentum to score in the overtime to maybe potentially win the game.
Overall, it was a very nice game. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, same. That was close to my favorite game of the week. There was a lot of good games this week.
It's been a crazy weekend. Second game I have on our list is the Packers versus the Texans, and this game was not even fucking close. Texans, for 3 quarters, they were getting absolutely demolished. The Packers gave up some touchdowns in garbage time. Jamal Williams, he fit in well for the absent Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams popped off this week. Him and Aaron Rodgers just kept on connecting over and over, and it paid off.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was playing like he does normally, and Devontae Adams was really his only receiver. The rest of the receivers on the Packers, they had like 1 or 2 receptions, and then you have Devontae Adams with 13 receptions, 196 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and it really helped the Packers win the game. And like you said, Jamal Williams played really well in the loss of Aaron Jones this week, and he ended up having 77 rush yards and a touchdown. And that the Packers just played phenomenal football, and the Texans just weren't able to keep up.
Packers played very well, even with David Bakhtiari out.
Yeah, that is a big loss too. David Bakhtiari really holds that offensive line.
Third game on our list is the Cowboys versus the Washington football team. And like I said last week, this Cowboys team was not ready for the football team's defensive line. Ezekiel Elliott was not able to carry the weight he needed to with the absence of Dak. The Cowboys could not get their offense started at all.
Yeah, for sure. The Cowboys even had a loss in Andy Dalton. He ended up getting hit in the head by John Bostic and missed the rest of the game with a concussion. The Cowboys really didn't have an offense the whole game. As you can see, they only scored 3 points, and the football team just played really good defense and offense. Kyle Allen, he only had 194 pass yards and 2 touchdowns, but he really didn't need to score anymore. And Antonio Gibson had a really good game with 128 yards and a touchdown. And in my opinion, I think he will be a pretty good running back for the football team in the future. And to go forward, he will probably put up games like this, and you'll just start getting used to it. He'll be a name that'll be thrown around a lot in running back conversations. And then another player that I am very high on is Terry McLaurin. He has been playing good against absolutely any team, good corners or not good corners. I shouldn't say he's underrated, but people don't talk about him enough. Maybe just because he's on the team that he's on, or I don't know what it is, but he is a really good receiver.
I liked the game. I thought the Washington football team came to win, even though it looks like they're in a state of rebuilding. The way that the offense looked, it made the Adrian Peterson cut look smart. I mean, Antonio Gibson came out of nowhere. There's been diamonds in the rough on this team, and who knows, maybe in a year or two, they might be able to get into the playoffs.
And maybe even this year, because of how bad the NFC East has been, and the football team, their offense has been pretty good. And like I said, they might even make the playoffs this year just because of how underperforming the NFC East already is.
Second in the division.
Yeah, and they're like a half game out just because the Eagles ended up tying a game.
And this game and past week kind of made this question pop up in my head. Is Dak the core of this team? Because obviously Ezekiel Elliott can't hold the whole team on his back. And with the absence of Dak, this offense seems so lackluster. They have weapons all around that offensive side of the field, and they can't march down the field.
Yeah, for sure. When Dak Prescott was in for quarterback, he was scoring a lot. The Cowboys in general were scoring a lot. They were in really close games, and they just in general they played a lot better. And without Dak, this offense just isn't the same.
Game 4 on my list is the Bills versus Jets, and this game is nowhere near what I thought it was going to be. I thought the Bills were going to come in, just sweep the Jets, and that's not what happened. The score was 18-10. Bills still won, but they did not win how they were supposed to win.
Yeah, they had no offense. They had absolutely no offensive point. Well, I mean, they had offensive points, but they weren't able to get any touchdowns. And their kicker, Tyler Bass, carried them to the win while he was kicking 6 for 8, and he had all of their points. And the Jets didn't even play good. Sam Darnold had only 120 yards and 2 interceptions, and their running back, Michael Pirine, had 11 carries, 39 yards, and a touchdown. And somehow the Jets found a way to hold the Bills' defense to only kicking field goals.
Bills offense, you mean?
Yeah, Bills offense, yes.
I do have one question. Do you think the Bills are actually a good team?
That is a very good question. Obviously, they are in the front of their division. They are winning more football games, but when you get down to it, Josh Allen has been kind of not lackluster, but he hasn't been performing at the level that you'd hope he would, and he's playing against pretty mediocre teams in a sense. So hopefully if the Bills want to make a push in the playoffs, that they'll start performing at a higher level, maybe closer to playoffs, but just right now it's kind of a question mark.
Yeah, Josh Allen needs to start playing better, especially for someone that was in the MVP talk not too long ago.
Yeah, for sure. He had my vote for sure if he kept playing at the level that he was playing. But now, like I said, it's a huge question mark if the Bills are even going to make it out of the first round.
5th game on our list is the Panthers versus Saints, which was a lot closer than I expected it to be. Saints won 27-24. Right off the bat, the Panthers' run game is non-existent in this whole game. Their leading rusher was Mike Davis with 7 carries for 12 yards. And I have the question: when Christian McCaffrey returns, do you think the Panthers can become contenders?
Yeah, for sure. They will make a big push, and hopefully they will make playoffs. Because personally, I like the Panthers. This team just looks like a fun team to watch. Because nobody really thought they were going to do good at the beginning of the season, just because of Teddy Bridgewater. I personally like Teddy Bridgewater, and that might be a little biased because he did play for the Vikings. But ever since he left the Vikings, I've been paying a lot of attention to him, and it's really fun to watch him play good for other teams too, because he had 254 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, and he's just been playing really good this season in general. And with CMC back, I really hope this offense becomes even more lethal than it already is.
Another thing,
And
sorry.
really good against the Saints. They just played really good against the Saints, and the Saints are supposed to be like one of the best teams in the league.
Last video, I predicted that Alvin Kamara was going to run all over the Panthers defense, which he kind of did. He averaged 5.9 yards per carry, and he had around 150 yards from scrimmage in total. So Alvin Kamara is still a big vocal point in the Saints offense.
Yeah, he for sure is. He's producing very efficiently. It's just his volume isn't like his rushing volume's not there, but he for sure is getting the outcome that you hope a running back like he does get every week.
Game 6, the Battle of Ohio, Browns versus Bengals. Browns won this game 37-34, and I'm going to say right now, I am very happy with this game. I predicted so much in this, and not to toot my horn, toot toot. Joe Burrow threw 3 touchdown passes, which I called out, and the game basically was decided on the Browns' last drive of the game, which I also predicted. Of course, OBJ, he got injured, tore his ACL. How much do you think that will affect the Browns?
Honestly, I don't think it'll affect them too much, especially since Baker's kind of playing better without OBJ. It kind of sucks that OBJ is not there, but they have plenty of weapons already because they threw the ball all over. And a person you don't really hear of, Donovan Peoples-Jones, he was the one that got the game winner, and he's kind of under the radar, and I think that he'll be a big part of the offense too. And then Harrison Bryant, another guy that you don't really hear of, especially in the Brown system, because he's got David Njoku and Austin Hooper in front of him, and he ended up getting 2 touchdowns this last game. So they have plenty of weapons, and I don't think they'll be too worried without OBJ.
Yeah, Baker threw 5 touchdowns, even with Odell out. So you never know. Baker seems to actually play better without Odell in his offense because he's able to spread the ball around and not worry about getting the ball to Odell.
Yeah, and the narrative of him playing better under pressure kind of did come out this game. And if he plays under pressure every game, I think that they'll win a lot of football games.
Game was very close, and it was very fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I had a lot of fun watching this game, too.
Game 7, the Lions versus the Falcons. Lions won 23-22. And right off the bat, I need to apologize to Lions fans. For so long, you've been the bottom feeders of the NFC North, and you've always kind of been trash in my eyes, but that's going to have to stop today. Matt Patricia is no longer the goodwill Patriots. The Lions have become to get their own identity in a way. Although the run game for the Lions did not exist this week, Matthew Stafford did what he does best. He threw for over 300 yards, which 114 of those were to Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, the Lions offense played fairly well. Matthew Stafford especially. And Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback, obviously. And he led his offense to a really good last-minute drive. And in a sense, the Falcons really should have won that game. But then you have the situation where Todd Gurley was trying to get down to the 1 yard marker to get his team to kill the clock so that the Lions couldn't get another last-minute possession. But he ended up scoring a touchdown, which really screwed the team over. But in a sense, for fantasy owners, that really helped them out because he ended up getting 2 touchdowns. But for the Falcons, that really didn't help them at all. And that last-minute drive was phenomenal. And then the pass to TJ Hawkinson to top the cake for the Lions really was that drive was phenomenal.
In this game, Todd Gurley did not have the game I expected him to have. Last video, I predicted that he was going to have 2 touchdowns, a receiving and a rushing. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he also had a fumble and didn't seem to produce too much on the runs.
Yeah, the Falcons had a pretty good offense too, but then the Lions had a very crucial strip sack that helped them get the 3 points to help them get the victory. And in a sense, I think that the Lions kind of played better because especially that last drive. And obviously that crucial trying to get down but ends up scoring a touchdown what really did impact the game.
Speaking of that last drive from the Lions, that was a beauty. You can see Matthew Stafford was just slinging the ball. They'd get down, hurry up, sling the ball again. That was, they marched down the field so quick and pretended that the Falcons defense wasn't even there.
Yeah, and TJ Hawkinson was a big part of their offense. And then obviously the game-winning touchdown. So maybe TJ Hawkinson is going to be one of the rising stars on the Lions offense, and he'll be up in the talks of who the better tight end in the league is.
Game 8 on our list is the Buccaneers versus the Raiders. Buccaneers blew out the Raiders 45-20. I will let you start this one off.
The Buccaneers played really good. They were able to score on offense, and then they were able to stop the Raiders. Very lethal offense on defense, and they even stopped the Raiders' better player, Josh Jacobs. They held him to 17 yards, and that is very crucial because, like I said, he is a big part of the Raiders' offense, and when you can only pass the ball, which I mean they were down by so much they kind of had to pass the ball, but they were able to lock down the Raiders, and when you lock down the Raiders' offense, they really can't win, and especially since the Buccaneers have such a good offense, they have so many weapons, and Tom Brady was able to throw for 369 yards and 4 touchdowns. Their run game wasn't as efficient. They had Ronald Jones had 13 carries, 34 yards, and a touchdown. But yeah, their offense is looking really good, and they're starting to click more, and maybe the addition of Antonio Brown within the next couple weeks, maybe he'll make a really big impact for the team, and this offense will be very scary.
Yeah, this Buccaneers offense is going to be very dangerous when they are able to have Antonio Brown on the field week 9. And Tom Brady's 4 touchdown passes were all to different receivers, so he really didn't play favorites too much. He was able to spread the ball around, and he did what he did best, and he was also able to get his infamous QB sneak on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, the Buccaneers offense, this is going to be fun and a scary team to watch.
Next game's the Chiefs versus Broncos. Chiefs won 43-16. Patrick Mahomes did not even need to play in this game for them to win, even though he did throw 1 touchdown. This Chiefs team won because they scored on every phase of the game. They scored on defense, offense, and special team.
Yeah, this offense is one of the better offenses in the league, especially since they won the Super Bowl last year. And Patrick Mahomes, no doubtably the best quarterback in the league right now. But he didn't even need to really play that much. He threw for 200 yards and 1 touchdown. That's very unheard of from Patrick Mahomes. But when you take a lead and the other offense just doesn't score, you don't need to score. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he didn't really have that much production either, but he also had a small sample size, 8 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown. So they didn't really need to use him very much. And I was very curious to see how Le'Veon Bell would be a part of this offense. And it wasn't going to be much of a factor this week, but he had 6 carries and 39 yards. And I'm just curious to see how he will be a part of the offense in weeks to come. Maybe he'll get more. Maybe he'll even take Clyde Edwards-Helaire's place. But it'll be just a very interesting situation to see.
Yeah, that Broncos offense could not cook anything up. Philip Lindsay tried his best to get this offense going. He had 8.8 yards per attempt, but in the end, Drew Lock, he could not seal the deal. He threw 2 picks, no touchdowns. And the receiver I highlighted last video we recorded, Tim Patrick, he was dealing with a soft tissue injury on his hamstring.
Yeah, and since the Broncos have had so many injuries, every player really matters to the Broncos, especially Tim Patrick, since he's been playing so good. So it'll be very tough for the Broncos to lose him if he has some sort of major injury, which I don't think is the case.
Jags versus Chargers. Chargers won 39-29. Justin Herbert has been looking pretty fucking good. He had 3 passing touchdowns, over 300 yards. He also rushed for a touchdown with 66 yards. So he's playing lights out right now. He's getting the ball into his star wide receiver's hand, Keenan Allen. They're starting to get a connection. Keenan Allen's probably happy that he's starting to get the ball more, because I remember last year that was a problem that he had. He didn't get any of the targets he wanted, and he was getting upset with Phillip Rivers. But on the Jag side, Gardner Minshew was not able to do what he does. He was playing very clumsily, if that makes sense. And he had to try and have James Robinson carry the team for him.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew, he's been kind of lackluster lately. The team even considered benching him if he didn't play good, which, I mean, he didn't play great, but the team was still in the game to the point where they kept him in the game. He had 173 pass yards and 2 touchdowns. And like you mentioned, James Robinson really carried that team. He had 22 carries with 119 yards, 1 touchdown, and then he had a receiving touchdown too. And he really kept that team into the game, but they were now not able to catch the win.
Game right after that, the 49ers versus the Patriots. This was a curveball if I've ever seen one. I thought the Patriots were going to come in, play disciplined football, how Belichick likes to play his football, and that is not what happened at all. 49ers blew out the Patriots 33-6, which is actually the biggest blowout for Belichick as the Patriots head coach. Jeffrey Wilson got 3 rushing touchdowns and 112 yards. The Patriots defense could not even try to stop him. Although Jeffrey Wilson did end up injuring his ankle, sad to say.
Yeah, the Patriots offense was not there. They even had to bench Cam because of his bad performance. He had 98 yards and 3 interceptions, and that is one thing that nobody really saw Cam doing. People thought that he was just going to take this offense and run with it because it's Cam Newton, but obviously he's not playing at the level that people expected him to. And for the 49ers offense, Jimmy G didn't have the greatest game either. He only had 277 passing yards, and he had 2 interceptions. And like you mentioned, Jeff Wilson also carried his offense. He had 3 touchdowns. And then rookie wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, he had 6 receptions, 115 yards. And it really didn't take much to beat this Patriots team, but except for Jimmy G, the team played fairly well. I mean, I shouldn't say that Jimmy G didn't play good. It's just not stat-wise. When you look at his stats, it's just not what you'd think when you win by that much.
After this game, would you say Brady's more important to Belichick or Belichick's more important to Brady?
Brady is more important to Belichick. Sorry, I had to think of that question way too much.
It's all good.
I think I answered that right.
Sunday night thriller, the Seahawks versus Cardinals. Cardinals squeak past the Seahawks 37-34. I'll let you start this off since this was such a fucking good game.
Yeah, this is my favorite game to watch. It came down to like field goal. Oh, there was way too much to this game that it was a lot to process. Um, Kyler Murray had a pretty good game with 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he even had a passing touchdown, or not a passing, a rushing touchdown. And DeAndre Hopkins had a lot of his yards, and 103 of those yards were to DeAndre Hopkins, and he even had a touchdown. And then Christian Kirk had 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Cardinals obviously just played slightly better than the Seahawks did and squeaked by with the victory. And the Seahawks, there was a lot of small things that were very crucial in this game. Obviously, with Russell Wilson's 3 interceptions, and then there was a very crucial penalty that hurt the Seahawks' chances of winning because of that holding call that called back DK's touchdown. And like I said, there were just very small things that hurt the Seahawks' chances of winning.
The Cardinals snapped the Seahawks' undefeated record. So, like I said before, the Steelers are the only undefeated team left in the NFL. And I personally thought this game was going to end in a tie once it started getting lower time left in overtime. And Russell Wilson, like you said, threw 3 interceptions. One of them ended the game, basically giving the Cardinals the ball to be able to kick a field goal. Talking about Cardinals and field goals, they decided to ice their own kicker, which is a different strategy. I've never seen that one before.
Yeah.
And another thing on that Cardinals offense is Kenyan Drake injured his ankle, tearing a ligament, which they're now saying is a high ankle sprain. So you got to think if maybe they're trying to hide something up on that. If that injury is kind of a blessing in disguise because Kenyan Drake hasn't been playing good at all this year, and they've kind of invested so much into him that they don't want to give Chase Edmonds the start, even though he's been playing a lot better than Kenyan Drake.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds, he's been kind of performing pretty well. People didn't fully expect that. And go back to the Seahawks. They had a receiver that just went off. Unbelievable performance. 15 receptions, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's just absurd. And he played amazingly. Obviously, he was given the call, and he accepted the call, and he played amazing.
Tyler Lockett's been a very good wide receiver for the Seahawks for a long time. And one receiver I didn't expect to make a very big play was DK Metcalf chasing down Buda Baker, who seemed as shocked as I when he got chased down from DK.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. DK put on the Jets, and he chased down Buda Baker, and that was a very good play by DK, and it was obviously shocking to like everybody that watched the game.
DK Defensive Player of the Week.
Oh, I mean, for that one play, I think he deserves it.
And now I bring you to Monday night, my weekly dose of depression. My Bears lost to the Rams 10-24. Now, straight out the bat, I'm going to say the Bears offense did not show up to this game at all. Nick Foles threw 2 interceptions, not even a touchdown. He looked very bad, but a lot of that blame should go to the offensive line as we weren't able to stop the Rams defense at all. They gave up 4 sacks, I believe. It was either 3 or 4. And Leonard Floyd, an ex-Bear who was able to learn under Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald, was feasting on our terrible O-line. He was able to jump through people, jump around, cut people's arms down. He was nonstop. He had more sacks than Aaron Donald. And I think the person that should be the MVP of this game is definitely Johnny Hecker. He pinned all 5 of his punts in the 20, most of them on the 5 or less. That man's punting style was crazy good.
Yeah, for sure. That really was very crucial for the Bears. That kind of set them back. And like I predicted, the Rams would win because of their better offense. This game was going to be a very good defensive game, but when it came down to it, it was just going to look at who was the better offense. And obviously in this game, the Rams showed a better offense. Jared Goff threw for 219 yards and 2 touchdown passes, and then Malcolm Brown, he had 10 carries, 57 yards, and 1 touchdown. And one question I have for the Rams is this system going to work for your running backs if you want to make a push for the playoffs? Because week by week, it doesn't seem like the same running back is getting the same amount of carries or volume or like an outcome in general, because one week Malcolm Brown's having a phenomenal week, and the next week Darrell Henderson's having that same phenomenal week. And it's just it could be good, but it also could be bad, because who knows, one running back might get locked down and they don't have a game plan for the next running back.
It's running back by committee. They're letting their guys step up when they need to, and I think it'll makes it so other teams have to plan accordingly, because if they only scheme against one running back, the other running back might be able to bounce back and get the game that you were just talking about.
Well, yeah, for sure. Like both running backs are fairly good running backs, and obviously they knew what they were doing when they put these backs in a committee, and it seems to be working. But who knows, it could not work, or maybe it won't work going down the line.
Another thing about this game is the Bears defense tended to struggle here and there on like 2 or 3 drives, but it's also, you can't expect your defense to do everything. They needed the offense to step up, and even though the Bears defense tended to struggle here and there, they're also the only ones that got a touchdown on the Bears.
Yeah, their defense was the only part of their team that got a touchdown, and that really doesn't help you win football games if you're not going to score on offense too.
To conclude the podcast, we're going to be predicting this Thursday night game for Week 8. It's the Panthers versus Falcons. Do you want to start it out?
My prediction is that the Falcons will win 35-28. And both offenses have been looking really good lately. The Falcons, they just fired Dan Quinn, and they've been looking better than they already were without Dan Quinn. And then the Panthers, they're getting CMC back, so I think their offense is going to be better. But who knows how CMC is going to do, especially after missing a lot of games. He hasn't played since week 2, so who knows if that'll affect him for at least this week. So I have the Falcons winning 35-28, and like I said, CMC might not perform at what he normally does because of this injury, and the Falcons offense is just looking better because of their amount of weapons, and maybe they will get their run game going, since Carolina's theme for not playing good against running backs, they could just take this game and run.
I have the Panthers winning against the Falcons 31-27. Like you said, Christian McCaffrey, he does return on this week, and I believe that Teddy Bridgewater is going to have a good game now that Christian McCaffrey's back. A lot of people might try to focus on Christian McCaffrey, allowing him to throw the ball down the field, spread the defense out, hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, because like I said last week, their run game was non-existent. Their max rusher had 12 yards. That is not how you were supposed to have a run game. So I believe that Christian McCaffrey, even if he's not a full 100% ready for the scheme that they want, just the way he plays, he'll be able to run all over the Falcons and catch a lot of balls that Teddy Bridgewater would just dump off to him.
Yeah, that could be and I could see the Panthers taking this game too, but I'm just going to predict that the Falcons win. And yeah, I just don't know how Christian McCaffrey is going to play due to his long injury. So I'm just going to play it safe and go Falcons.
All right. This should be a fun game to watch on Thursday night.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the better Thursday night football games that have played this season, actually. Actually, the Chiefs game, but other than that, this is like close second.
I'm hurt. You didn't like the Bucks Bears?
That's right. They did play on Thursday.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about before we end it up?
Yep, I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, everyone who's made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope your team does good, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Sunday. Whoa, why'd I say Sunday like that? Hello, everyone. I'm Javon.
And I'm Logan.
I'm just sitting there like, say it.
All right.
You literally have 3 words for this fucking intro.
You're forgetting that I'm supposed to say something.
All right.
Okay, this is going great.
3,
Okay.
2.
Okay, go.